Hi, welcome back to my channel. Whoa. I wanted to do a video today on my camera, funnily enough, which I'm very happy about because I don't pull it out that often when I have a good enough phone to not need to. But I wanted to do a video because I speak a lot at the moment about like contrast, and I think it's like a big deal in life to look at contrast and to like weigh up what about the situation has like contrast in it and like dealing with it in general. And I was sort of like, in terms of fighting adversity, I think fighting adversity is probably like not the politically correct word to use, but I think when it comes to overcoming adversity in life and people's differences and stuff, you have to look at the innate truths of, you know, within sort of individuals, and you have to look at, you know, how people perceive situations and then what their reactions are going to be. Because I think I'm definitely at this place now, and I think this is quite normal in this astrological era, where we look to ourselves rather than the collective in general. I think last astrological era in Pisces there was a lot of like groupthink belief systems, which I feel like I talk a lot about on my channel, trying to like unpick those. But I think when it comes to looking to yourself, I think it's really helpful, and I'm finding myself do this a lot at the moment, to look at the perception that I have about how other people are reacting. Obviously how I'm reacting, of course, but I think it's hard to build, you know, because when you're just looking at taking someone at face value and looking at their ego, you're not necessarily going to come to the correct result if you just take what people say as Bible. Do you know what I mean? And it's about looking at why a person will react a particular way in terms of what the nature of that situation and person is, and then you'll find like it makes more sense as to why you get reactions that you do. Because I think it's really easy to project your own self on someone else, and I feel like as a person it's been important for me to prioritize not doing that, but also like I think it comes to a point where like you understand other people. Some people can't. I feel like when it comes to narcissistic individuals, sometimes in that it is a fact that people can't see. It's really a perception of not being able to see outside themselves and then take on that other people have a separate opinion. But it's the fact that aligning with this, you get people that will take it so far to the point that you're not going to be obviously in reality about the truth of the situation. Like it's going to be a whole load of shit mixed in with the truth, and then it can really, like, as I say, you have to be able to unpack that to a point where it's like, right, okay, I can see the dysfunction and I can keep my brain intact, do you know what I mean? And I don't have to allow lies to infiltrate my experience in any way. I also think it's not worth minimizing people, you know, because I think when it comes to looking at contrast, you have to acknowledge other people's strengths and weaknesses, and that's not really difficult to do as someone if you have a healthy sense of personality and self in general, I suppose. But I think, yeah, like when it comes to, and I literally saw this thing, to be honest, which probably goes in quite well, about on Instagram, about like making quantum leaps, and part of that is like understanding where you are at the time and then like looking at the vibration you want to be in. And there's like a few steps, but like I don't know if it's worth like googling it if you want to know more about this. But I think understanding like what the situation is that you're in, the belief systems that you would have to break and basically live in that vibration once you've done that quantum leap. Because I think a lot of the time like people just live in like generational trauma, or like they allow like low vibrational experiences and like depression and stuff like that, and mental health issues to really influence what they're, I mean, I think mental health issues can shape you as a person, having had them myself, but I think obviously you know, when you are looking to quantum leap and stuff, sometimes limited belief systems can really stop you from actually making the action to think that like a small change in belief system can really change the way and upgrade the way you manifest. Do you know what I mean? Because I think it's the case that like anyone, when you put it in perspective and you find that contrast, it's the fact that anyone can actually be in a really shit position, and anyone can really be in a place of being unaligned, like it depending on your life experiences. Like I've done so much work in adulthood and dealing with my trauma to align myself and to make the quantum leaps that I should have made previously in life if I was given more, you know, fertile circumstances, if you will. But it's like, I do think, yeah, like anyone can be, like I could be in a way less aligned place than I am now, for example, but I do think sometimes like when God ignores you, it's like just before you're going to make a quantum leap, when you like literally burn out about a situation. I'm not saying just burn out, I think sometimes when you're like absolutely like, oh why can't this change, and then you feel like no one and nothing is helping you, like this too shall pass, I feel like, and it is sometimes just a place where like you are going to make that quantum leap during that time, is my experience and what I've seen on various spiritual teacher videos and stuff. Because like sometimes you have to look at it as like balance as well in life, like you can't have all good things happen at one time. It's like not a universal experience that people will have. I would like to do more on like universal laws and stuff actually, but I think, yeah, you would struggle to get every single thing you want manifested into your life all at the same time, and like you're not going to have, like you might have like really negative circumstances in some aspects of life, you might have really positive circumstances in other periods of life and stuff like that. That's just like the balance of life, do you know what I mean? It will give you good things and bad things, you know, in that sort of like divine time or whatever. But like sometimes I feel like certain things can feel like a negative and they can feel like a curse. It might well be a curse in your life to a degree, but then like they can like be grounding for like character building and blessings when you like move through it, do you know what I mean? And I definitely feel like that's something that I've experienced. Because then like it changes your belief system. Like, so you think it's like smooth sailing at all times. Like there's nothing more in Aquarius at the moment. It's a lot about, I think I'm talking a lot about there's a transcendence element of this astrological era that like I feel like I'm referring to in this point. There's a lot of difficulty around like the Saturn elements. I think it's Uranus that brings like massive transcendence through the circumstances, and I think contrast is like a massive part of perception in how I'm moving through it at the moment, because you know everything is different really in how we perceive things very much from ourselves, and you know it is, you have to look at things in a different way. Like you can say like, oh, some people naturally are innately like, oh, my cup is half empty, my cup is half full, but realistically you can look at it and be like, okay, well, like, yeah, it could, I feel like saying it could be worse. I don't want to have toxic gratitude because there's a fine line there, but I think sometimes when you can paint things in a certain picture and think like, yeah, like this is a gift, like seeing things as a gift sometimes, because you know it's one thing like looking at adversity through other people and other people's perception and how they may act, looking and observing other people and sort of like interacting them on the level that they're at that time. And I think that's really important to do actually, because you know a lot of people, I definitely just don't, it's hard because I think especially when you have to be in close proximity to people, especially because like you know, especially if you're a literal person like I am and got like strands of autism, it's really hard, like, but you can't like force your belief system on people that don't want to hear it, you know what I mean? People, if they wanted to change, they would change, do you know what I mean? And you know there's a reason why they won't change. You know, if you're going to be that person, I do think there's trailblazers in situations that can sort of like go against the norm for reasons, and it ends up sort of like helping the collective. But on a one-to-one basis and when navigating that in general, I think there's people like that everywhere. It's really important, I think, just to realise that like not everyone's going to be on your level. There are a lot of people with a lot of malice intention as well, and I hate to like say that, but it is the innate fact of life. I do think there are more people that have good intention. I think some people have good intention, but it comes around in a very backwards way, and if you're a literal person like myself, to take it in a literal way will send you into demise because and the purpose and the reasoning for what they are doing may not align with your purpose in a direct way. So I think it's also, obviously, that contrast is important. I think a lot of people have adapted to things like this. Like, I think in Pisces things were very much like about sort of like illusion, like, oh yeah, like, oh really, like you're gonna do this, ha ha ha, like it's like an illusion, like you're pushing people into a level to almost, you know, jest over